us all, and the list of all unknowns is tall. But if there's anything we know, our stubbornness has shown, we'll climb up after any fall. We know who we are, but we still don't know who named us. Yeah, we know where we are, but we don't know where we came from. The leftover ashes in the sky, and the nations, all they do is fight. Yeah, the crown broke all our trust, so I guess it's up to us to save whatever's left of life. We know who we are, but we still don't know who named us. Yeah, we know where we are, but we don't know where we came from. We still don't know who named us. Yeah, we know where we are, but we don't know where we came from. Oh, we know who we are, but we still don't know who named us. Yeah, we know where we are, but we don't know where we came from.
Hello everyone, this is the Nameless One, and today we will be finally continuing the Lost Memories Second Chances campaign. I have here with me today Cold, Ice, Nez, and Fiction. We have actually heard back from Moon recently, and he may or may not be joining us here in the near future. So if you enjoyed seeing Doc, stay tuned for that. Other than that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell, follow on Twitch, all that good stuff. More on how to support the channel at the end of the episode. For now, give me just a sec. I'm going to switch screens and I need to add an audio source real quick. There we go. Somebody say something? Make sure it's picking everything up.
Something.
All of y'all are smartasses.
I just said hello.
I do that consistently.
You got drowned out, but everybody else said something.
I do that consistently.
We said
it's just that this time
something
everyone else did it
like
too.
yeah. We're only doing what you asked.
Smartass. Anyways, since it has been so long, Cold, you get to do the recap and remind everybody what we were doing.
Why are we here?
Alright. Well, at the start of the previous session, we had made it into the cave in the Northern Pass. We unfortunately lost Coppertail. He said fuck you guys, I'm going home, and ran. Since Ivory was the only one with a light source, we were more or less following him. Ended up coming to a branching path. We took the right path, and hopefully it was the right path. Ended up going down, and we located one of the god engines. I believe it was Extermination, which was Thorax. Which, unfortunately, we can't do anything about him, since we don't have the technical or medical knowledge to get him out of there. I mean, he's a brain and a spinal cord. A little hard to do anything.
Yeah.
Continued on down, and got down to the watches. Everything was fine until Pyre fell asleep. We all ended up in a shared dream. The first part is we ended up in a throne room. There was a group of creatures coming in. One of them was Doc. They confronted a vaguely shaped pony creature wearing yellow rags. They were conversing. The yellow-ragged dude basically turned everyone to stone and more or less killed everyone and whispered to Doc that, they have all failed before turning him to stone. The dream moves focus. We end up seeing another group that we do not recognize. And they are fighting a massive creature made of a tarred substance with an elk skull. Unable to tell who is winning. Fades into the next part of the dream, where we saw an alicorn of pure white coat. Only Ivory saw it for what it was. That it was the ugliest, most twisted thing beyond belief, where everyone else thought it was beautiful. Shifted again to a new group, who the only thing opposing them was a book. The book opens and they disappear. The dream shifts again, focuses on a humanoid individual in a huge set of armor with a light of madness in his eyes, shouting at a crowd. Then shifts one last time into a dark place. Something unnaturally tall and gangly is just outside of visual range, and everyone then wakes up. There were a bunch of unnatural shadows in the cave, but they shifted back to normal. Party is unsure what it was. Their best guess was it might have been the Tantabus, and the only reason something like that was able to happen is the closer we get, the more powerful she is. But again, that's just our guess. Something was up with Nebula. She was not doing particularly good. Saying whispers of a vision of past, present, and future, pained face. It's obvious she remembers something, but can't remember. End up putting Emerald next to her, and when he touches her, she lets out an agonized shriek. Light comes out of her eyes. It seems like there's dozens of voices speaking the same sentence. The kings must fall. Then the rest of the night is quiet. The next day, we continue on. We see a whole bunch more webbing, couple of large holes in the side of the wall. Pyre gets curious and decides to go looking down. And we see giant-ass changeling, Queen Chrysalis. We continue going down the passage. We end up underneath Chrysalis. We see the passage we need to get to. And then we make as much as fucking noise as we possibly could and get spotted, but manage to run across and escape in time due to a slight cave-in. We end up making good time. We failed our survival check to see if we should stop. So we covered more ground, but are far more tired than we should be, and that is where we left off. We have not had the watches yet.
Okay. So then we'll go ahead and do that.
Man, I can't believe I forgot like the entire second half of that. I think the like prophecy thing like just overwrote all my memory of the session. And I didn't even remember like most of it.
I see absolutely nothing wrong with our actions because that totally didn't lead us here.
Should have gone down the left path. Should have gone down the left path.
Why didn't we go down the left path? Obviously, I wanted us to fail. I didn't know!
We gonna do the usual order?
Don't see why not.
Might as well.
Starts with Emerald.
This one.
Okay. I almost see whatever it is.
That is a very obnoxiously noisy
Left the
cave.
faucet running.
Yeah.
We're just gonna stick to Dark Tunnel. Because Dark Tunnel does not sound like somebody fucking flooded it. Actually, wait. Okay, so
Someone
we
just
have
tripped
Cavern and Deep Cave. Cavern sounds like somebody is trying to drown it, and Deep Cave has just regular cave sounds.
Cavern is just a really, really sweaty man.
Okay, we'll go with that.
It just has a really big bottle of water that needs to be refilled.
So, Emerald.
Yeah.
As you are doing your watch, you don't see anything, but like every time you look in a direction, you just like you feel a chill run up your spine, but you can't quite place what's causing it.
Ugh. Okay. I wake up the next watch.
Alrighty. We are still in the cave and it is still scary for me, right?
Yes, that is why cave noises. I like how I say that, and immediately it gets punctuated by falling rocks.
Well, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh!
That is quite a hefty fail. That's your perception, right?
Yeah. I don't think I was actually supposed to add that modifier, but because of what I rolled, it was going to fail anyway.
Yeah, I was about to say,
that's
regardless of
not
modifier. What's that?
Yeah. Nothing.
Regardless of modifier, you did fail quite heavily, and it says roll versus perception. So
Yeah.
do me a favor. Let me open a character sheet and make sure that what I'm about to ask for actually is the thing. Roll a fright check.
Okie dokie. There it is.
So I kind of want to apply a negative, but I didn't think about it until after you had already rolled.
The claustrophobia could apply. I'm not sure if that technically counts as
I
like
feel
a
like-
you roll, but maybe it does.
I feel like the claustrophobia
Thematically,
is
it
the
makes
source
sense.
of the fright check, not when it wouldn't affect it.
No,
Okay.
no. You'll see what the fright check is, but you guys are currently in a tunnel that is at most 6 foot high by 4 feet wide. What do you roll for your claustrophobia?
That is also a fright check, I think. I roll a CR12 check against claustrophobia, and then if I fail, I roll a fright check.
Okay, then. Here's what we'll do. I'm gonna have you roll another fright check, and we'll say that the one that you just rolled was to determine claustrophobia. But since you passed that one, I won't impose penalty.
Okay, so just another fright check.
Why are you so
Where's
good at
the fright
these?
check? I don't know. I'm just really lucky today, of all days.
So, as you were like sitting for watch, you kind of at some point just kind of get a bit bored. Who knows what you were doing at the time? You don't have fingers, but you know, maybe you were picking your nose or something. You turn around because you know, you don't need to watch that hard, right? It's a tunnel. You turn around and you've never seen a burial mask before, but somewhere in your brain you realize that's what you're looking for or looking at, as there is a burial mask poking out of the darkness several inches from your face. There does appear to be something wearing it, but the combination of the darkness from the tunnel and the light from y'all's fire, because I assumed that you guys have been lighting fires when you do sleep.
Yes.
All you can see is Burial Mask grinning at you. What do?
Where'd that come from? And then I like try and back away, but it's like a small space, so I kind of struggle.
The Burial Mask lifts up, and you realize that it is attached to a very large-looking pony, covered in green robes, as he steps fully into the light. Roll me a perception. So, it's hard to catch at first as he's stepping into the light, but the robes, you can tell, are hiding what appear to be a large pair of wings to go along with his horn. Has Rapid seen an alicorn yet? Or is this going to be his first time interacting with an alicorn?
Outside of one of the machine things, I don't think so.
What machine thing?
The god
What they're called? Yeah, God Engines.
is that we technically saw Celestia.
Well, you saw a sarcophagus. You never actually saw what was inside. So,
Yeah. Unless
Were
it was like
there-
a diagram.
Were there pictures inside of Shadowfire's temple?
I don't think I ever described a picture of an alicorn for it.
Okay.
So we're gonna say this is the first time experiencing alicorn. But you've never seen a pony like this one? This is all new territory for Rapid. As he steps forward and says in just like the most disturbing voice,
If you are the ones that he sent, then I shudder to imagine how you've managed to make it this far.
Say what now?
I've been standing there for the past 15 minutes.
Oh. Well, could you not?
Perhaps if you had been paying more attention, I wouldn't have needed to.
Okay. Having a nice day?
He kind of scoffs at that and says,
Does death ever have a nice day?
I don't know. Are you death?
so I'm just going to preemptively tell you to roll a fright check -8.
Jeez.
That sounds like a failure right there.
I mean, if he crit succeeds,
Oh my god.
I didn't touch it.
so for the rest of the party, you hear a shriek of absolute terror from Rapid, who is now currently unconscious when you wake up. And when you look over, the strange pony with the wings and horn he seems to be settling a mask back onto his face. And he looks down at Rapid and says,
How unfortunate.
Huh?
Yeah, so Ivor's immediately jumping up at the shriek, shotgun in hand. He is too paranoid for this shit.
he looks at the shotgun and gives an exasperated sigh before saying,
Oh, put it away. That thing won't do anything to me anyways.
Pyre's like kind of looking him up and down, the wings, the horn.
so
You look kind of familiar.
I will say that Pyre and who's Ivory have seen alicorns, and Ivory fully understands the implications that they are something powerful, as told by the FPC.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was basically warned that he needs to not be rude to the big angry alicorn. He wasn't really told much more than if you piss it off, it'll vaporize you. But he does understand powerful, and the one he's dealt with was very pissy. But other than that, no full implications of what they're looking at.
Yeah, Ivory's gonna recognize the Alicorn part and like lower the shotgun and be like, why does it always have to be something I can't just shoot? Always gotta be complicated.
Why do you keep stepping into situations that are beyond your scope?
I never said they're outside of my scope. I simply said I would like something simple for today.
You are chasing engines of death and destruction and following creatures beyond your imaginations.
Yes, simple.
You have strange definitions of the word simple.
And you have strange anatomy for this day and age, but I'm not out here calling you out.
Think you just did?
I was pointing out the obviousness. Either way, yeah, don't piss this thing off. That would be so much better for all of us in a very tight cave.
I do have a name, thank you.
Well, I didn't know it. What would your name be?
Bladeheart.
That name sounds awfully familiar. Pyre looks over to where the drooling form of Doc is. Weren't you the one who brought him back?
Ah, yes, that one. In fact, I was actually here to check up on him. Shadowfire went through quite a bit of, shall we say, trouble to ensure his safety. Relative safety, I should say.
Yeah, from what I saw, it probably cost him a good deal.
To say that would be a vast understatement for a creature such as him. They do not make many friends, and he sold the memories of a close one.
It did look like it was something dear to him.
That thing wouldn't have taken the deal otherwise. It revels in the torment of its creations.
She kind of shudders. Seem to be. Suppose I should ask though, what brings you here besides checking on him?
To be entirely honest, I was curious as to the nature of the group that he had assembled, especially since many hopes and dreams are rested upon y'all's shoulder. Needless to say, I cannot say that I am very impressed thus far.
And with that, he looks over at the unconscious Rapid Shatter.
Though I will at least give him that looking upon the visage of death is not exactly an easy thing for anyone.
Yeah,
Wait,
you were
hold-
trying to
hold
say
on,
something
hold
now,
on.
Emerald? Sorry.
But as
I was just gonna say out of character, like, did the big alicorn with the voice of an Eldritch Horror just say y'all?
okay, you're gonna have to cut me some slack with that one.
Hey, he's from South Void. Like, you know.
You chill with the boys.
I don't work with a script, so sometimes that shit just slips out.
Maybe he just keeps up with the times.
Anyways,
He's on that hip new internet.
Plagueheart kind of steps over and prods Rapid. Rapid, go ahead and make me a quick health check. Regular health check.
Regular health check. Nope. Sorry. Good rolls are gone.
So, Rapid remains just laying there unconscious. And Plagueheart heaves a sigh and says,
like I should at least apologize for this one's current state. I was not aware he would be that afraid of my true face.
Well,
Yeah.
if you can handle the more out of the ordinary, should we say, sudden occurrences while we were running away from giant spiders.
Oh yes, that one. You're quite lucky that she cannot fit through that opening.
Yeah, luck.
Yeah, she can't. Pretty sure little minions there might.
Well, I have the cure for minions. And he like nudges his shotgun a bit.
Blakeheart looks over at the weapon and just kind of chuckles before saying,
Now, since I am here and have your attention, I might as well ask if there are any pressing questions that I might be able to assist with. Consider it a compensation for that situation.
and he gestures at the still unconscious Rapid.
Pyre kind of looks at him and is there anything we can do to save Shadowfire and Luna?
What?
Well, I will say that the Luna situation, you actually have the solution with you now. But first, you must find her body. As far as Shadowfire, though, if you do not make it there in time, I doubt there is much that you can do. They're working with very limited technology at the moment. And while it is in their best interest for their current goals to get to the Crystal Empire, if they get there and have the time that they need to begin the procedure, then you may not be able to stop it. However, if you do manage to sabotage the tech involved, then perhaps. I will warn you, though, that in your current state, you are very heavily outmatched. So, I wouldn't suggest going in head first, as my understanding is your want.
Well, you wouldn't happen to have any suggestions?
On that, I'm afraid I cannot interfere. To be entirely frank, I believe I am breaking more than a few rules at the moment just being here. But then again, I have always been known for my lack of respect for those who created the rules that I must follow.
Pony after my own heart.
See, the rules of the Cosmic Theater are a bit more difficult to get around.
He nudges Rapid again. Sorry about that. I had to sneeze about halfway through that.
Another check.
Yes.
Nope.
Does somebody want to go shuffle through the smelling salts in Doc's bag real quick?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, Rapid, you have been brought back to consciousness through the power of smelling salts.
He's having a bad day.
Death is still right over there.
And he's still in the game.
He's wearing his
Just
mask
very
again,
casually having a conversation.
That's good.
but he kind of just eyes you guys for a minute before saying,
I believe that before I go, I have enough time for one more question. After which, the only time you may see me again is either if you fail or if you die of old age at some point.
Well, I very highly doubt I'll be dying of old age, but that would be certainly a dream.
Either way, you will eventually see me again at the end of your days. Or very soon, depending on how badly you fail. That is, if the King in Yellow doesn't get a hold of your souls. Thankfully, so far, he hasn't actually noticed you.
Hooray for being below notice. Yes.
Well, to be fair, you've been a thorn in the side of the FPC rather than him. And one small group of rebellious ponies is not enough to grab his attention, unless, of course, they directly threaten his plans. And before you ask, no, I do not know the full extent of his plans. There's a reason
I
why
lower
you
my
guys
gaze.
exist. Anyways, like I said, one last question.
You mentioned they seem to be heading towards the Crystal Empire. You wouldn't happen to be able to give us direction, would you?
I can give you one better. There's an individual that lives in these mountains that, to be frank, you may want to find. Because while you and your companion are both Kieran, you are not, shall we say, the appropriate temperament. In fact, to my understanding, this world has lost I guess the word would be art of the Nyric, except for one individual. My understanding is that he fled his homeland after the war and has been hiding here. Once you exit this cave, rather than traveling east or west, travel north. There will be a cave marked by blue crystals. Enter that cave and tell the one who lives there that I sent you. He will at the very least not turn you to ash then. But if you don't take his guidance and help, then you may very well freeze to death before you get there. The FPC has the advantage of advanced power armor. And while you did prepare quite well, actually, with the acquisition of cold weather gear, you were not prepared for the, shall we say, intensity of what your clockworkers created.
I've always said the Buccaneers were going to be up to something crazy and it was going to help end the world.
Be thankful that they did not make as many as they were wanting, because they very well might have set this entire world into an ice age. As of right now, their creations have confined themselves to these mountains.
Another faction trying to end the world.
And to their credit, it was accidental. They didn't understand what they were using as power sources, and it got very out of hand very quickly.
Must have. Fire kind of looks down. You said you were Death, right?
Correct.
Did you find Celestia?
A god soul does not go unnoticed. In fact, that is the main reason I was able to make it here. Needless to say, she has been taken good care of.
Thank you. I'm glad about that. If it's at all possible, tell her I'm sorry.
Normally, I would not say things like this, but I feel like this is a bit of an exception. I am already breaking rules as is, so I might as well break another. She understands. While she is sad that she will never see her sister again, with all things go well, she understands what needed to be done. Needless to say, when she was passed, she was slightly more rational. She did ask me to pass on that she wants you to protect her sister and any other remaining Alicorns, if possible. Frankly, all of them are in quite a bit of danger, with the FPC having returned. And while Twilight is very safe in her current situation, Luna and Shadowfire are not. Frankly, I neither know nor care what happened to the others. But for the time being, I must go.
Well, safe journeys.
And to you as well. Try not to disappoint the one who put you here on this path.
And he starts walking back into the tunnel, and it's almost as if the landscape of the tunnel that he walks into is an entirely different world that fades away into a misty shadow, and then you guys are left alone again.
Wave goodbyes to the Grim Reaper, guys.
Good news is the Tantibus is nearby.
Oh. There she is.
It's on the other side of the fire from where Plagueheart was, but it's nearby.
So much walking.
Pyre kind of goes and approaches the Tantibus.
It looks at you, but given that it has no facial features, you can't tell what its expression is.
Pyre just kind of bows again. I'm so sorry for what I did. And I swear that I will find you and I will save you and I will save Shadowfire.
It nods, but you can't tell much else, given, it's basically a near featureless gaseous shape of a giant unicorn.
I just hope you can forgive me someday. And with that, Pyre kind of goes back to the camp.
Nebula looks at the group and then yawns and says that she's going back to sleep.
Yeah.
My watch is over.
Yeah, everybody was awake for it.
Where's Crazy Joe?
Everybody roll perception.
I'm
no.
going to bed. I'm good.
Well, I'll cast a quick glance before nodding off, I guess. Oh.
Nobody sees Crazy Joe.
Well, that
That's
could
your
be a good.
problem.
This entire cavern is about to detonate, isn't it?
Yeah, hopefully he's closer to the big giant spiders than he is us.
I like the just casual acceptance of this. It's like, where'd Crazy Joe go? Like, we would just ignore the fact that the personification of death was here. Well, actually, technically, he'd literally be death. But
It's a lot easier to deal with an explosives enthusiast than it is to deal with the personification of death.
Listen, we sat down, had a chat with Death. Crazy Joe. You just can't do that.
you know what? Touche.
I'm going back. And I lay back down.
Alright, suppose it's
Who's
my
gonna
watch.
Go look for Crazy Joe.
So, both of you need to roll perception. For I was gonna say -2, but you still
Don't
pass
make
that.
Still pass.
Yeah. Pyre, you didn't get the -2. It was mainly for Ivory, who is not just looking for anything, is looking for a specific thing in a dark tunnel.
Right.
I have the land.
Pyre, everything seems mostly quiet through the night. About as quiet as your group is used to.
Mhm.
Ivory, you find out that you guys are not camping that far from the mouth of the tunnel that leads out into the cold again, and currently it is buried in snow, and Crazy Joe is curled up in the fetal position, rocking back and forth, gibbering something unintelligible.
So an average Tuesday, got it.
Well,
So
normally,
Ivory is going to.
normally for
Go ahead.
Crazy Joe, his gibberish is not fear-induced, but this is probably the first time that you guys have ever actually seen Crazy Joe afraid.
Damn. Ivory is going to slowly approach Crazy Joe. Crazy Joe, what happened here? Hey, Ivory.
He looks at you, and the only word that he says is death, in a very fearful and dramatic manner.
Yeah, that'll do it.
It's alright.
Roll
We
an
saw- We
intelligence
saw him too.
check for me.
Mhm. My big brain.
So, Crazy Joe has never been known for like being a heavy sleeper, except for when they need him to not be.
Yeah.
He's got that knack for any time that you want him to be asleep, like, normal sleeping hours. He's like wandering around, shitting in a corner, like doing Crazy Joe.
He's a cat.
Except for the times that he needs to be on watch or stuff like that, at which point he is snoring like he has never slept in his life, and this is the first time he's gotten to sleep. There was actually quite the snafu because somebody tried to call him out for faking it, and it ended up in a brawl that involved 90% of your camp. So, given that you don't remember seeing him when you were talking to Plagueheart, and Plagueheart had just been putting the funeral mask back on, Crazy Joe probably actually got to literally look at the face of death. Which, you saw how it affected Rapid.
Yeah. Okay. Ivory will like put an arm around him and say, "He's gone. He's gone. We can head back to camp."
As you're looking and talking to Crazy Joe, he looks at you, and you're almost taken aback with the amount of clarity and lucidity that he asks this question. Because normally there's like that glint of like madness in his eyes, because he's, as far as everybody else is concerned, he probably has some form of dementia or something like that, because he is old. But he looks at you with just an unnatural amount of clarity and lucidity and asks, in a quavering kind of tone, I'm trying to figure out how I want to phrase this properly. Give me a sec to buffer.
You elevator music.
What's that?
Nothing.
Oh.
Just a joke.
Sorry, brain cell. Okay, I'm not gonna say an actual phrase for it because, like, the concept I am trying to convey, I can't come up with a good phrase for it. But he essentially asks you if you've been wrong. But not like specifically you, but like the cultists.
Oh.
Because remember, we've gone from God engines to God engines have something inside of it to, oh my god, it's death.
Yeah. And he's not made of metal.
Very much not made of metal.
I think this would definitely trigger a will check for Ivory, because like now he's just kind of confronted by it.
At disadvantage.
Let me look at something before I have you roll this.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking that
Especially that kind of question coming from Crazy Joe would definitely trigger something.
given that Crazy Joe has never at any point questioned any part of your...
Yeah.
He's like that one guy that, like, everybody knows he's part of whatever religion it is, and knows that it's no use talking to him about anything else, religiously speaking, because he's the one that will beat you to death with the Bible.
Yeah.
Whichever Bible it happens to be. Roll it a -9. Given everything that's going on, and the fact that it's essentially one of the pillars of, like, your community that is... I just whacked the shit out of my mic and that hurt. It's basically one of the pillars of your community has just asked you the question that you've been avoiding for yourself.
Yeah.
And you have had so much thrown in your face.
Watch Iron Will Ivory get a crit success.
Yeah.
At that point, I think I might just throw up my hands and quit.
Yeah, so for this is probably going to be for all the marbles, so I would just like to put the stakes on for, you know, everyone here, everyone at home. Ivory has a will of 15.
I believe it shows the
With
number.
a -9.
So you need to
It
roll
would be a
a 6
6.
or lower on 3d6.
I have to get, at most, 2 on every die. Whew.
So basically a crit success.
Iron Will Ivory, let's
Pretty
see it.
Let's see. Will Ivory make a comeback?
5.
You gotta be kidding me!
How?
1-1-3 with a target of 6. He made a 5. Iron will Ivory will never lose.
Don't worry. I've already set up the next part.
I'm in total shock at that. God, my heart's racing. God damn. So, Ivory Facade will stop, take a moment and take a breath. Look at Crazy Joe in the eyes through this moment of clarity and go, no. It's just... It's more than we could comprehend on our level. It's so complicated, but just because there's more than what we thought at base doesn't mean we were wrong. It doesn't mean that all of this is for naught. No, we must stay strong. And then he will, unless Crazy Joe has another thing to say or do, he will lead them back to camp.
I love how he asked if God was fake, and you said no.
He asked, what's it called? Are they wrong?
Yeah.
And so Ivory said, no, we're not wrong.
Yeah.
That's what the no was referring to.
So,
I just thought it was funny that you said no.
so
Like,
you get
No.
you get this distinct impression as Crazy Joe looks at you for a few moments longer before heading to camp that you haven't convinced him.
Mm-hmm.
But he is holding it together enough to head back. Oh,
Yeah.
excuse me.
It's right.
Excuse you. before what's it called? We like fully enter camp again. He will make another remark to Crazy Joe. He'll go, tomorrow we'll have a sermon. It's been a rough journey, but we will make it. And then they'll re-enter camp.
So, are you going to do your watch now?
Yeah.
Give me just a second. Okay.
That's a failure.
So you bit distracted as you are looking, doing your watch. Hold on, I'm checking over a list. Which one was? Okay, that answers that question. But as you are you're looking Overwatch, you can't help but have your moment to ponder. Are you doing food making?
Ivory will kind of like slack on it, but he'll eventually get to it. He's not as enthusiastic.
The
As
Tantibus
normal.
stays on its end of the cave. Because, you know, your fire kind of blocks off the majority of the tunnel. But you don't notice anything other than the whatever it is you happen to be doing, given that despite your pig-headedness, you are still being faced with quite a bit.
Yeah. Ivory he's mostly just pondering like everything itself. Like he's lost in his own head the entire time. He is constantly going back through his like wax tablets and like rereading everything, and upon seeing the Tantibus again, he'll just kind of freeze. And he'll just slowly walk.
I said it regards
He'll
you with like an inscrutable lack of expression.
Yeah, he'll slowly get up and walk to the Tantibus and just kind of like hold his hoof up for a moment, like unsure if he should.
It leans
And then he'll try
down.
to commune.
It leans down closer to your hoof, but seems to be waiting for you to make the move.
Yeah, he's going to try.
Make a regular will. You can feel that it wants to communicate with you, and it has been trying to communicate with you. But something about who you are, something about your faith has just essentially forcibly blinded you. And you know it's you, not it. You know that something about you has prevented it. If you remember, out of character, we talked about it. It's essentially the fanaticism that you're not ready to listen. And,
Yeah,
you know,
Ivory is going to, upon being rejected again, and he knows it's himself, tears are going to break from his eyes for a moment, and he's just going to start, like, stamping the ground and just, like, cursing to himself for a moment because he just can't seem to make pieces fit anymore as easily as they used to. Like, he's still past everything. It's just it's overwhelming for him. Not everything is as easy as it once was. And he's going to slowly recollect himself, and like he's just gonna stare at the ground, just like eyes kind of burning a little bit. And he only gets back to cooking and like back to, old Ivory when someone naturally wakes up and he hears them. But like until then, he is just going to be staring at his hooves and at the ground and like just kind of brewing.
Okay. Go ahead and roll for your cooking, and we'll say that's everybody waking up.
Let's see. There it goes. And he makes a meal.
So, for those of you that have been especially mindful of Nebula lately, go ahead and roll perception.
I think Ivory's too out of it too.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Can I spend a point and re-roll that?
Sure. Watch you fail again.
You're like,
Ah, it would have been funny. So, as Pyre and Emerald, you two, as you wake up, I just realized that it was Pyre that crit failed. Rapid, you're still coping with what you saw last night, because doesn't matter who you are or how stoic you were, that was a lot. And there's a reason why I didn't describe what you saw. Because, the idea of horror. But, for the other two, as you guys are, like, looking around the camp, getting things ready, you look over to check on Nebula, and you get a sense, like, it's not that she's... How do I say this? She doesn't seem actively sad, but there is an air of sadness, almost loneliness around her. And you almost on an instinctual level know that it has something to do with what you saw last night. And that, well, yes, you could go and comfort her. There's something to it that you don't have all of the puzzle pieces for. What do? I hate allergy.
Oh. Pyre is kind of gonna approach and kind of just put a hoof on her shoulder and just kind of be there as a presence for her.
She gives you a strained but appreciative smile. But otherwise, just seems preoccupied.
If you ever want to talk, I'll listen.
She nods, but again, just kind of stays quiet.
Does Emerald want to do anything?
Emerald is kind of gonna like give you a nod, I guess. Like ever since the incident, like Emerald has wanted to comfort her, but like you have not let anyone else get close.
True, but she's kind of more open about it now, so she's just kind of like nods back. If kind of you want to come over, you can come over.
Yeah. Emerald walks over and sits at her other side. You're not alone here, he says.
He
I don't.
gives Emerald the same smile, and you can tell she appreciates it, but she seems distracted.
Yeah. Makes sense. So, are we gonna get going, or?
You guys are ready to start moving again, and you can do that.
Before they all, what's it called? Moving stuff when breakfast is ready. Ivory is being uncharacteristically generous with the food. He made a bowl for everyone. And he will, sit with Crazy Joe, and while they're having a very, like, uncharacteristically quiet sermon.
So, for Crazy Joe, he's listening, but unlike his usual boisterousness about it, it's almost like he's just going through the motions at this point.
Yeah.
He does seem to be mostly back to his pretty much entirely insane self, but his heart does not seem to be in the act of worship for the god engines.
Yeah. His sermon has a lot to do with keeping morale and keeping strong. It kind of goes over a little bit of like keeping faith and stuff, but it's mostly on like just, you know, keeping your feet on the ground kind of lesson.
So, what I'm gonna do for this next part is we're going to do 3 days of travel.
Okay.
Without any rolls or anything, because they're, other than the fact that they're, when you get out and onto what could be very vaguely described as a path, there is a skeleton laid out in such a way that it is pointing north. I'm assuming that you guys are going to take Plagueheart's advice, right? Or
Naturally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was going to be much argument against that, especially given that he was not actively trying to hurt people.
Yeah.
Well,
If nothing else, Pyre heard Karen.
You guys head north, 3 days worth of travel, and you're starting to realize what he meant by the cold, because even with your gear, you guys are shivering, and it almost feels like you aren't wearing any. And it is not the quality of the gear that's the problem, it's the fact that it's just that cold. You also see throughout your travels, even through the night, red or blue highlights that are watching you, but at the moment they don't seem to be doing much else. And then when you finally get to the cave, it almost looks as if, so imagine somebody punched a hole in an ice block, and it left shards of blue glass, essentially. And that is the kind of quality that you are looking for. And as you guys enter, it's not terribly long before you realize who you were sent here to find. Perched atop what appears to be a smaller god engine, smaller being a very relative term, is a Kirin very similar in size to Nebula, except where the other two Kirin you guys have been traveling with have big, lustrous manes. He's on fire. He is sitting on the chest of what appears to be... Which one was I going to use? Mage Slayer. And you know it's Mage Slayer because Mage Slayer is known for its melee weaponry. And it is very badly damaged. Large sections of it have been just melted off, and the sarcophagus is not only exposed, but it looks like somebody opened it like a fucking tuna can. The flaming Kirin is sitting next to the open sarcophagus, and you guys see the torso and head of a pony that has been hooked into the machine. And there is just an obscene amount of cables and wires and tubes coming out of his body. The two of them seem to be conversing. The pony remains. He's just very falteringly speaking in what sounds like Ponish, but like not. And the Kirin is responding in kind. You also notice that the temperature has been dramatically raised. Like, you guys are now sweating in your winter gear. Kind of temperature. And it's very obvious who is the source of that. As he continues... He doesn't seem to notice you guys as he continues his conversation.
So you said this was Mage Slayer, right?
Yes. And by
Okay.
all appearances, it looks like he has single-handedly defeated it.
Okay.
Yeah, Pyreus
And then the
dragons.
pony next is the one that was entombed,
Yes.
and they're just chatting.
Yeah. It looks like he opened the sarcophagus. You know, the sarcophagus that was made of a metal that shouldn't be that easy to open, and has been just keeping company the pony entombed inside.
Okay. So because of that document, Ivory would know the name,
Yes.
right? This would be Flash Magnus.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. So Ivory is going to step out before anyone else can say anything and call out the name Flash Magnus.
The pony in the sarcophagus looks up, and you can tell he recognizes the name, but he says something in a language that you guys don't understand. Again, you can hear almost Ponish words, but it's not quite close enough for you to grasp the meaning, and he pronounces them really weird.
Flash Magnus. The Mage Slayer. What? Ha. How?
The Kirin that was sitting next to him stands up, and he's already in that, like, ready to fight kind of stance. He stands up, head down, body kind of slightly crouched as he stalks down towards you guys with incredible grace.
Pyre takes a few steps forward. Plagueheart sent us.
He stops and blinks before looking at the group and saying, "Give me just a sec."
And how do I know this to be true?
Pretty sure the god of death doesn't lie.
But mortals do.
The mask. The death mask. We saw it. He wears it, he'll look back at Rapid. This one saw the face of death, and he'll point out Crazy Joe as well. This one did too.
He stalks all the way towards you guys, and he moves with an unnatural grace. And you can tell, even without really knowing anything about him, this Kieran is a warrior of unnatural power. As he steps in front of Rapid. Rapid, do me a favor, because this is not something you would know how to not fight against. Go ahead and roll me a will save at a -9.
Rolled pretty well.
It's not a bad roll, but you have to kind of describe what this feeling is like. It's like somebody just opened up your skull and jammed their finger in your brain and are just poking around. The rest of the group just see the Kieran's horn flare as he looks around, or he pokes around and then shudders and says,
Ah, yes. A face I remember well. Then why, pray tell, has he sent you to me?
He told us that in order to survive the cold, to get to the Crystal Empire, we needed to talk to you and something about Neric?
He pulls a face, says something in a language that is entirely unintelligible, that sounds almost like an angry bonfire, and spits to one side, and then finally says in Ponish,
Of course he sent you to use me as a glorified heater.
Well, that didn't seem to be what he meant. Pyre kind of looks over at Nebula before looking back. Said something about us.
He looks where your glance goes, and his composure changes quite dramatically as he steps towards Nebula, and you can hear the tears in his voice as he says,
Oh, sister.
and says something in the language that he had previously just been cursing, very obviously, Plagueheart, and Nebula just kind of looks at him. You can see vague flickers of recognition of what he's saying before he clears his throat and tries to regather his composure and says,
I will assist you. He was correct in saying Nirik. At one point there were those that called me the Nirik King. Those days are long past, so.
he looks up at the battered remains of Mage Slayer and say,
Sadly, they made pale imitations of a god of war in an attempt to replace us.
he looks up sadly at the machine before nimbly hopping up to the sarcophagus, and he starts talking to Flash. The two of them have a several minute long conversation before he gives a pained look, and Flash just smiles at him and nods before he ignites the body. Of course, being burned alive, Flash naturally starts screaming in pain, but it's over fairly quickly before he hops back down to you guys and says,
Sadly, I cannot just leave him here to freeze to death. That is not a warrior's death.
before he clears his throat. He does seem, despite his bravado and attempt at seeming to be strong, he does seem to be a bit torn up on the fact that he just had to do that.
Pyre takes a few steps forward before she kind of starts doing her usual burial rites thing.
He watches you before saying that
It's good that you keep the traditions alive, but you're doing it wrong.
Pyre kind of snaps up. What? There's a proper way to do it?
he nods and stands next to you and tells you to repeat after him as he begins. It sounds very similar to what you were doing, and the movements are almost identical, but he begins doing it in a language that it feels familiar, but you don't recognize it.
I do my damnedest to copy it as perfectly as I can.
The language has come surprisingly natural to you. You still have no clue what you're saying, but it's not that hard to say.
Ivory will get as close as he can to the sarcophagus and begin doing what's it called? His own form of rites, but or the cult's burial rites. And he is just going to tone out the world for a minute. He is having a extremely hard time keeping it together as he does this.
Roll me a perception. Specifically you. Just you.
Oh. Specifically what?
So
Hello?
You there? Yeah, we're here.
you you don't notice until he's standing directly over you. For Pyre, he stopped his rites as soon as Ivory started and listened for like all of like 30 seconds before he was up the side of Mage Slayer faster than you could keep track of. And
Mm-hmm.
he is now currently towering over you as he interrupts your rites, saying,
What do you think you are doing?
He is entirely going to ignore and continue, what's it called? Continue repeating the burial rites, of the cult. Tools and all, like, spread out around him, and everything, doing full rites. He's just going to completely tone him out.
you know, sometimes this makes things harder when it's not, because it's not D&D, because the thing that I want to say does not apply here. Make a health check for me.
Okay.
Is it hot?
She says.
So, you managed to stay conscious, but you were launched from where you were sitting to the far end of the cavern. As he just full sends slaps you. Yes, I said slap. That was the as he turns to you and roars out.
I will not have this warrior's memory soiled by your profane rituals.
Ivory will get up using his
By the
shotgun
way,
as like kind of a
you
cane
took 8
to help
points
himself
of
up.
damage when he did that.
Oh,
Oh.
Ow.
yikes!
And he has gone from like it just looking like his main to he is basically a walking bonfire at the moment.
Where did he hit me? Because I do have damage reduction.
How high is your
Marmored.
damage reduction?
Depends where he hits me.
Hold on. Because he definitely like hits you across the face.
Face would be a 2.
Yeah, so that's still 6 points of damage. And I just kind of combined the smack itself as well as you impacting the nearest wall.
Yeah.
So. And I'm sorry, but that kind of impact, I don't really care if you have damage reduction. That's blunt force trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You,
Hey, I'm not
you
really.
would impact the inside of your armor with that kind of impact.
Yeah,
So
but
we'll say 7.
as
We'll say 7
7
points.
Okay. I am really not. Yeah, Ivory will get up as soon as he can using his shotgun as like a cane to help him up. He's going to continue mumbling his prayers and start kind of limping back. And like he'll, or before he begins again, so he's not interrupting himself, he'll go by the rights By the rights of the engines, by the rights of the machines, he is a god and he must be honored as one. And so then he will begin the prayers again.
As you start trying to do this again, he is just in front of you. The speed and grace with which he moves, it almost looks like he teleported. If it weren't for the fact that there are tracks and eddies in dust as the that showed where he moved to and from, you would think he teleported. The heat has intensified. Has everybody removed their winter gear?
Pretty much at this point, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
Let's see. I want to Ivory to make another health check. You are only barely able to keep it together as the sheer intensity of the heat is getting to the point that you could smell singed hair. As he leans in closer and says,
You worship the very thing that brought this warrior low. I will not have you setting rituals, worshipping them as his last rites. You will cease this, or I will turn you to ash.
Ivory will meet the gaze. He is obviously battered as hell and still has the scars from being previously burned. And he will just say, "It's all I have."
at this point,
And he is going to try and move forward, but he's going to trip on his own gun and fall.
At this point, Nebula steps over you. She's tall enough that there's enough space, but for the rest of the group, roll a quick perception -2. So, despite the intensity of the heat and light coming from the Nereid King, you notice that Nebula's horns are once again covered with the strange symbols, which I believe Emerald identified as chronomancy.
Yes, he did.
As she says something in the same language that he had been using for the last rites and cursing Plagueheart, that he seems taken aback before the intensity of the flame on him dies a bit, and he still seems pretty pissed off, but he returns to teaching Pyre the last rites before Nebula places a hoof on Ivory's shoulder and quietly asks that he let them do the last rites, that he should go get somebody to tend to his wounds.
Ivory is going to look at Nebula, and for a brief moment, he drops all guard. Full she sees everything that he's thinking of in his eyes. And he's just going to go. That's all I have left. Let me die. And he's going to try to continue, but he's like limping and reeling. He has like no strength anymore.
She uses her magic to pick you up and take you back to the rest of the group, instructing Emerald, Crazy Joe, and Rapid to tend to your wounds.
Yep. I can do that.
Ivory is very weakly going to try and like fight, and like he's not really trying to fight, he's just trying to move forward.
Hold still.
Crazy Joe, in an very uncharacteristic move, is almost acting like a grandfather and just wraps his arms around Ivory's head and is gently shushing.
It's
Ivory's going to go limp in Crazy Joe's arms. And he just stops fighting now. He just completely stops. Like his eyes kind of glaze over.
After she's watched this happen, Nebula takes about 3 steps before passing out face first in the dirt.
Emerald just looks from Ivory to Nebula and decides to deal with Ivory first. I've got first aid. Should I roll that?
Yes.
Or... Okay. There you go.
A success is a point of healing.
There you go.
Nebula just seems to be exhausted. And you get the impression, based off of the other times this has happened, she will have no explanation for what just happened. But after several minutes, the Neric King steps back and tells Pyre that the rites are finished, and trots over to the group and says,
This is probably not a good idea to leave yet. We should rest.
he seems rather withdrawn, almost sad at the moment.
Okay. I don't think we caught your name. What was it again?
That would be because I have not given it. My name is Frenzied Flame. At one point I was the Neric King and their god of war. Sadly, due to many, I'll just say, complications, my civilization for the most part has come so close to extinction.
He looks at Pyre and Nebula, and you can see glints of tears that he seems almost to be refusing to actually shed before he turns his back on the group and starts trotting towards the Mage Slayer.
I am going to rest. Wake me when you are ready to leave.
Yeah, sure. I can tell you about the enclaves later if you want.
The only response you get is a grunt as he lays down at the foot of Mage Slayer and seems to just immediately pass the fuck out.
Is he still on fire while asleep?
Yes.
Can you repeat his name again without the voice filter? I understand what you're trying to go for, but like he just sounds like a dying frog.
It's Frenzied Flame.
Yeah, I was having trouble understanding.
The voice is called Fire Dragon. So I was hoping it would give like both the deep and fiery sound to it, because there's literally a thing on it that is flame breath.
I mean, it achieved it. I want to play with that a little bit, though.
Yeah, the name is Frenzied Flame.
Okay. Is that an Elden Ring reference?
So
I'm not answering that question right now. Frenzied Flame.
Chaos
Okay, got
Pyre will kind of adjourn over to Nebula and attend to her.
She is currently snoring.
She does whatever she can to make her comfortable.
Okay. So, you guys are still going to have to keep the usual watch order, because you don't have any options at the moment, so
Yeah.
he may be injured, but he's gonna have to do watch.
I am bad at.
Here, Lang, go use the bathroom.
So once he gets back to from the bathroom, actually we can go ahead and do watch. So that would be you don't notice anything of note throughout the night. Cantabus is there. You guys don't need a fire,
Yeah.
but you know, it seems all quiet. What do?
I guess I try and play Connect 4 in the stone floor for a bit before I realize I can't draw lines in the fucking rock. And then I guess I just sit there and wait for, like, I don't expect anything to come. Like, seeing the, like, absolute mess that is. And I just wake up next watch, I guess.
Okay, that would be rapid.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I'm back.
Welcome back. So rapid. All seems quiet. Given that you know you're staying in the cave of an angry god of war with a dead god engine, there's not many things that are gonna come and challenge him. So, you know, There's not much.
Smart enough to get all the way here is probably smart enough to walk away.
Yeah, that would be accurate.
Alright, I'll wake up the next person.
Okay. Pyre, you also see nothing of note throughout the night. All seems quiet.
Pyre kind of is looking kind of at the God Engine and considering everything she kind of learned every day. She's like running the words and the motions of the burial rite in her head.
I will note that the motions were mostly accurate. There was like maybe a couple of minor differences. It was just that you were using Ponish, and if you didn't already guess the language, he's using Ancient Lyric.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
And if you can't guess from the way that he treats it, you're not doing it right unless you're doing it his way.
Other than that, probably make a quick check on Nebula.
She is sleeping well. It's going to be a little while before she is awake again.
Yeah, at least she's sleeping well. Kind of checks on briefly with the Tantabus, and then goes to bed.
Ivory.
Yes.
Make your roll. So, like the others, nothing of note. The Tantabus is there. Frenzied Flame is quietly snoring next to Mage Slayer. And Nebula is also doing the same. Crazy Joe at this point has fallen asleep. All of the strange activity he's been having to deal with seems to have tired him out enough that he's actually sleeping. So it's just you and the Tantabus as the only entities that are currently awake at the moment.
Ivory is... He's going to, like, sit, not, like, next to, but kind of, like, staring at the Tantabus, and just, like, under his breath his whole time, he's just mumbling, just speaking, like, utter gibberish. In his mind, he's saying a whole thing to himself, but like in reality he's just like kind of out of it. He is going to raise his hoof again, and he's going to try and commune, like really desperately trying this time.
So I think that even a fanatic at this point would break, so I'm not going to require a roll.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You are bombarded with image after image of alicorns and the old world. You get to see pictures of Luna and Celestia together, the two sisters enjoying their each other's company. Luna with Twilight. You see images of the war, of the rise of the first God Engine, that one being Liberation. You can see the devastation it wrought across the world, You even get to see the battle between Mage Slayer and Frenzied Flame, which looks incredibly one-sided, given that, it was a god of war versus a god engine. And not one-sided in the favor of the god engine.
Yeah.
How that went.
The one-sidedness of the fight definitely makes it feel like the god engines were very pretentiously named, but given what you know of the FPC, that very much checks out. You also see some of the atrocities wrought by the Equestrian monarchy. Monstrosities created that are just too horrifying to even speak of. And eventually, the images start to blur together as you find yourself standing in in an area that is, it seems almost peaceful, as a ethereal version of Luna slowly manifests. She is barely holding it together, and even without knowing much about magic, you can tell as she steps forward. Give me just a sec to find what I want for this. And as she steps closer, you can hear just the faintest whisper of words. You're being fed more impressions of what she's trying to say that gives you just enough to understand that she's attempting to try to comfort you. And you're also at the same time getting images of memories again as she's attempting to speak with you. This one's a lot more clear. You get to see the image of what appears to be a unicorn. And as you regard it, you're just given the name. This is Silvertongue. As he's stepping back, holding what appears to be a rather grotesque-looking needle. It's part of a syringe, but the syringe has no hollow body. It's a solid object. And you know that it's cursed. You're realizing that you're getting information from Luna from this memory as she collapses to her side. The last part of that memory is a pair of FPC operatives showing up and talking to Silvertongue as she fades out of consciousness. The next thing that you see is the Shadowfire that you remember meeting, the one that you led to the FPC. He's standing over Luna's unconscious body in a cave where he's very obviously mourning. Whatever has happened to him, he is basically at the point of being unable to truly speak, because the only thing that comes out when he opens his mouth are guttural sounds and flames. But you get the sense that he wants to fix this, but for whatever reason, he's unable to. It's where she fills in the blanks that he's destruction, not creation, or healing. He's not able to do what needs to be done to help her. And she refocuses again on you, her, and the strange starry void. And you get the impression that she's trying to tell you she wants to help you. Even though you keep getting bleeding memories of the shot taken by Pyre and the death of her sister and things like that. She seems to want to genuinely help, but she's having trouble communicating with you. Before she steps away as the area begins to fade out into reality once again, and you find yourself, the Tantabus has almost dissipated to the point of, like, you can see it's still there, but only just barely. And you can tell that, based off of the last impression you get, that she expended quite a bit of energy just to give you what she did. All as indistinct as it may or may not have been. But she seems... You do get the distinct impression of almost like a motherly need to help a child. What do?
Ivory's just tears just down his eyes, but and down his cheeks and stuff, just rushing, but just no emotion, almost dead inside. Everything he knows is a lie, and he's been shown it firsthand. Ivory's just gonna sit there, just 1,000-yard stare for a moment before he struggles to get up, and he's going to slowly head back to his tent, kind of stumbling, almost falling into the campfire that is very obviously easy to walk by, but he's just so out of it he can't really find motor control himself. Once inside his tent, he's going to tie the door, the door flap shut, try to write down as much as he remembers, and he's going to remove his armor, take out the empty revolver cylinder that he has in his bag, load one round, and then load the cylinder, and he's going to play Russian roulette.
With himself?
Yeah. He is completely his entire life is a lie. He has no purpose.
Roll a d6. Just an empty click.
He's gonna drop in and just lay down. And just silence. He's just staring at the wall of his tent. just completely out of it. Just mentally speaking, he is gone right now.
Okay. And I think this is a perfect time to put a pin in it for now. Does everybody agree?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
For those of you that may or may not still be watching, if you enjoyed that, would like to see more of it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell, follow on Twitch, all that good stuff. If you want to show further support to the channel, don't forget to look at the links in the description. I got my Discord down there and my Patreon. There's also the YouTube memberships, Twitch subscribers. All of the help is appreciated, especially my priest tier Patreons and up. Cameo Shadowness, Ice Crystal, and Scarmex. Other than that, for those of you that enjoy my gaming content, I will probably be live again later today at some point. Besides that, for those of you that are still watching, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and don't forget to drink water.
Hydrate.
Well, the bomb got dropped upon us all, and the list of all unknowns is tall. But if there's anything we know, our stubbornness has shown. We'll climb up after any fall. We know who we are, but we still don't know who named us. Yeah, we know where we are, but we don't know where we came from. Leftover ashes in the sky, and the nations, all they do is fight. Yeah, the crown broke all our trust, so I guess it's up to us to save whatever's left of life. We know who we are, but we still don't know who named us. Yeah, we know where we are, but we don't know where we came from. But we still don't know who named us. Yeah, we know where we are, but we don't know where we came from. Oh, we know who we are, but we still don't know who named us. Yeah, we know where we are, but we don't know where we came from.